You will live a certain number of years, but how many of those years are healthy? So your health span is the number of healthy years you have within your lifespan. In a perfect world, you would live to be 100 and you would die in your sleep healthy. And so it's called a retirement income smile because when people first retire and they're healthy, their spending starts out relatively high, but then gradually declines like a smile and then spikes late in life. Can you guess why? Medical expenses. Hello, folks. Welcome to this episode of the Happiness in Retirement Program podcast, because the road to retirement should be an adventure, not a survival strategy. Thanks for joining me today. We've got a great podcast that's centered around how to increase the go-go years of your retirement. And we're going to talk about some things that have nothing to do with financial planning per se, but have a lot to do with extending potentially the years that you get to enjoy your wealth. And I want to add, before we get started, a disclosure. And of course, that disclosure has to do with before you start any exercise program or a nutrition program or take any supplements, of course, talk to your doctor. Everyone's situation is different. Of course, I'm not a doctor. I am a financial planner and a registered life planner, however, and I have a vested interest in you extending your healthy life so you can enjoy your wealth, and myself as well. So let's dive in. I want to start with this idea that's actually been verified by research, that essentially there are 3 phases of retirement, and we call them the go-go years, the slow-go years, and the no-go years. Now, in the go-go years, when you first are financially independent and you have this work optional lifestyle, chances are you're pretty healthy and you can enjoy all the physical activities and things that really light you up. So again, you've got physical health, you've got vitality, and you can really enjoy life. But at some point, you're going to go into the slow go years. You're just inevitably going to slow down. And that could be a period of years. Who knows how long? Everyone is different, until eventually you're going to hit what we call the no-go years, where essentially your health is declined and maybe you just don't have much mobility. You can't really do many physical activities, and maybe even your mental health is declining. So go-go years, really enjoy yourself, physical activities. Slow-go years, you slow down. And then the no-go years, there's another way of saying this. And again, a tool that we use in the retirement planning world is something called the retirement income smile. And the retirement income smile, if you can imagine a graph where on the vertical axis is spending from 0 to buku dollars, spending a lot, and the horizontal axis is your age. And so it's called a retirement income smile because when people first retire and they're healthy, their spending starts out relatively high, but then gradually declines like a smile and then spikes late in life. Can you guess why? Medical expenses, long-term care expenses. So this has been verified, and it's been verified across income and net worth levels. Virtually everyone, there are always exceptions to the rule, but virtually everyone goes through this retirement income smile where they gradually reduce their spending and with the potential for increasing it later because of medical expenses. Okay. So how do we extend your retirement income smile, or kind of flatten it out? Or in other words, how do we extend your go-go years? Now, there's a third concept, and these are all interrelated and similar, but the third concept is health span versus lifespan. It's another way of saying go-go years, no slow-go years, and go-go years. And health span versus lifespan works like this. You will live a certain number of years, but how many of those years are healthy? So your health span is the number of healthy years you have within your lifespan. In a perfect world, you would live to be 100 and you would die in your sleep, healthy. So that would be a perfect health span, which would equal your lifespan. Of course, it doesn't work that way for the vast, vast majority of people. Our health span is less than our lifespan. So how can we increase our health span to get closer and closer to that lifespan such that you can enjoy more of your wealth to do the things that really matter to you? So let's get into it. I'm going to start with a book, a relatively new book by a doctor. His name is Peter Attia, Attia. And the book is called Outlive. It's a pretty technical book, but it's got some real nuggets of truth and really good information. And in the book, Peter Attia talks about the 4 pillars of well-being crucial for increasing health span. And they are exercise, nutrition, sleep, and emotional health. No surprise there, I don't think. We all kind of know by now that exercising more, proper nutrition, sleep, and being emotionally well are critical. But of course, more and more research shows that those 4 pillars matter most of all. And so let's talk about each of these pillars, and maybe I can give you some advice and point you in some directions of things you can do or apps you can use, etc. So let's start with exercise. When I was growing up, exercise just was not considered a big deal. However, I did, the person I looked up to was Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I did start weightlifting at a very young age. But back then, people who lifted weights were called meatheads. And it was just different. The gym atmosphere was different. So exercise really wasn't emphasized all that much. Well, fast forward to today, and the exercise industry is growing, and people are certainly more aware of the need for exercise. However, we still have an obesity epidemic. People say, researchers say in the United States, where some very large percentage of the population is obese, that has to do with nutrition as much as it does with people not exercising enough. And we're going to talk about nutrition as well. But what's really important as you age out when it comes to exercise is leg strength. How many people do you know, or are you familiar with people, maybe friends, family members, who lost their mobility later in life or fell and they couldn't get up? I have many stories of folks who have fallen in their homes and nobody was aware that they fell for a long period of time. That's why the life alert system is really important, by the way. So increasing your leg strength is really important, and keeping that leg strength up, which means a consistent regimen of walking, of doing leg exercises, whatever that may mean for you, whatever you're capable of. But doing that consistently, obviously consistency matters. Again, you want to keep those bones healthy. Again, I'm sure you know some folks who have broken their hip, and people who break their hip later in life, more often than not, this is anecdotal, so don't quote me on this, but this is my feeling, that people who break their hips when they are retired, when they are seniors, many of them go into nursing homes and they don't come back out. So you got to keep those bones strong. So leg strength, really important. Now, we're going to talk about emotional well-being and social connection soon. But there's this idea of stacking the 4 pillars of nutrition, exercise, and social connection or emotional well-being. And you could do that with fitness class. fitness classes. So take fitness classes where you actually get to stack two of the pillars of attempting to increase your health span. So social activity, social connection, and exercise. Fitness classes. What about hiking? Great for leg strength. And also if you go with some buddies or family members, you also get that social connection, which is really important. Okay, so that's exercise. Really, really important, of course. Next comes nutrition. By now, I'm sure you've probably seen some of the documentaries that are out there. Food Inc. is one. Hungry for Change is another. And Fed Up is yet a third documentary on the food, the perils of processed food. And in the United States especially, it's easier to find processed foods. Processed foods are less expensive than healthy foods. By the way, my experience in Mexico, where I spend some time every year, is that it's actually the opposite in Mexico, interestingly enough. I find it's easier here to find healthy foods compared to processed foods, the little mom and pop tiendas and fruit stores and vegetable stores, things like that. But obviously processed foods are very bad. So you want to reduce, of course, your intake of processed foods. And you want to potentially try, again, with advice from your doctor. Don't try this without talking to your doctor. But there's been a lot of research around intermittent fasting. And that essentially means that you only eat within a certain time period every day. And outside of that window of time, you don't eat. So you may only eat, say, between noon and 6 p.m. or 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Don't eat anything at night. And you could use whatever window of time that you want. But intermittent fasting, if you just Google intermittent fasting, you'll find a lot of information about the potential health benefits of it, of course, after seeing your doctor first. So try that as part of your nutrition regimen. There's a great program by a Dr. Joel Fuhrman, who also wrote a book. The book is called Eat to Live. And in that book, he talks about this idea of nutrient density, and you want to eat nutrient dense foods. So it's a very simple, I love simple, by the way. So it's a very simple concept and a simple calculation. He actually has a nutrient density index. If you Google, again, Joel Fuhrman, Eat to Live, he's got a website and he's got an index of all the foods and what their nutrient density is. All nutrient density is simply the nutrients, the amount of nutrients in a food divided by its calories. So if you have a highly nutrient food with low calories, you've got a very high score in that index. Of course, correspondingly, if you have very low nutrient level, very high calorie level, nutrients divided by calories, you're going to get a low number. So he's a big fan of, in his book, Eat to Live, a plant-based diet where you don't measure calories, you measure nutrient density, and you eat a lot of salads. I was on this program, which was a lifestyle change. It's not a diet, in my opinion. Diets generally don't work because we go off them. Lifestyle change, however, can work. And I was eating huge mixing bowls filled with salad with a vinegar-based dressing, just vinegar like apple cider vinegar, garlic, and things like that. And I felt great. Of course, I'm only human, so I did go off that lifestyle change after 4 or 5 months. But man, did I feel good when I was on it. Well, fast forward today, and there are other tools you can use and ways to get those nutrients and stay thin. So another very simple tool to measure your health as it relates to these 4 pillars, especially nutrition and exercise, is something called your height to waist ratio. And your height to waist ratio, again, very simple. It's just the circumference of the narrowest part of your waist in inches divided by your height in inches. That's it. You want that number to be less than 0.5. So you want your waist size to be less than 1/2 your height. Very, very simple. Simple tool, but really effective in helping you to determine your level of health. And again, studies have shown that the fat that builds up around your waist is the worst kind of fat. So the height to waist ratio has been a strong indicator of health. So if you can get that waist size down to less than 1/2 your height, boy, that would go a long way toward potentially increasing your health span. Simple measurement. You can do it once a week. Just go out and buy a tape, that the tailors use, and just simply measure once a week, chart it. And, what gets measured gets done. You start making a habit of taking measurements like that. Could go a long way toward you helping you meet your goals. So that's called, again, the height to waist ratio. Really, really important. Again, from 0.4 to 0.49 is generally considered really, healthy. When it comes to nutrition and obesity, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about some of the amazing advances in disruptive medicine, like Wegovy and Ozempic. And of course, by now, I'm sure you've heard of these two drugs, the active ingredient of which is called semaglutide. And it was originally developed for diabetes, but of course it is now turning out to be truly a wonder drug in terms of helping people beat obesity. People in studies have lost, 15% or more of their weight when they are on Ozempic or Wegovy or using the semaglutide. It improves metabolic health, and it also reduces the risk of heart disease, strokes, by, I think, 25% or so. Can even potentially decrease the risk of colorectal cancer, improve kidney function, and alleviate symptoms of obesity-related illness. Amazing, amazing, very disruptive drug that if you are a candidate to take it, definitely talk to your doctor about it. It is disrupting the food industry. It is disrupting medicine. And it is a very proactive approach to health. Instead of waiting till you get a disease and you go see a doctor, the semaglutide potentially, for the right candidates, can help you be proactive in your health. Okay, so semaglutide, supplements, talk to your doctor, Joel Fuhrman, nutrient density index, waist to height ratio, all really, really good tools that you can use potentially. Again, can't say it enough. You should see your doctor first and talk about these things. Okay, number 3 is sleep. I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, we had a saying, I'll sleep when I'm dead. And, you burn the candle at both ends, study and work hard. I was in college and taking 5 classes and working full time at a newspaper at night, helping to put the paper out and getting very little sleep. And then when I worked, I kind of did the same thing. When you're young and you work, I worked construction. I was a laborer. I also worked in restaurants, but then of course you go out, right? And you might not get home until late or early, I should say, the next morning. You get up and you go to work. Well, as you age out, obviously, it's not healthy. So hopefully eventually you stop that. Maybe some folks who haven't. But the idea of burning the candle at both ends, of course, now we know better. And we're getting more and more information about just how important it is a good night's sleep is. So it's essential for cognitive function and overall health, but you want both quality and quantity. Both matter. Great book by a gentleman by the name of Matthew Walker. The book is called Why We Sleep. Highly recommend you listen to it or read it. And he emphasizes the crucial role of sleep in, enhancing health, emotional regulation, and sleep, in fact, improves memory, creativity, decision making, regulates appetite. There we go again with stacking, right? Stacking some of these pillars. You get enough sleep, you might eat better. You might not want to eat as much. You stack that with, exercise, good stuff. So sleep is extremely important. The research is 8 to 10 hours. Most people should get. There are very few people, by the way, who need very little sleep. Very few people. So in order to get 8 hours of sleep, though, you're probably going to want to be in bed 9 hours, right? Because you're not going to be asleep the full 8 hours. Now, I don't know about you, but the last couple of years, I've put an emphasis on my sleep. The difference between 8 hours of sleep and 6 is night and day. For me, it's the most important of these pillars. Without proper sleep, I may exercise, but I don't know why when I'm tired, I want to eat more. Of course, I don't want to exercise, or I'm not on top of my game in any way, shape, or form. My mental well-being is nowhere near what it is with 8 hours. And when you've gotten a good sleep, you just know it. You wake up and maybe you've got the crusties in your eyes and you're just like, oh, okay. By the way, sleep in Buddhism is called the poor man's nirvana. There you go. Okay. So some information you can use and some new technology that can help you measure your sleep. First, 8 Sleep. 8 Sleep is actually technology. It's basically a wrapper, if you will, that you put on your mattress. And it takes all sorts of measurements while you're sleeping. There's an app for it. It is electronic and it measures the quality of your sleep, but it also will adjust the temperature of your bed. And so again, maybe you've heard this, but it's much better and you will have a better quality of sleep if you sleep in a room that's relatively cool. So it will actually monitor your sleep. You can track your sleep and it will help you do the things that you need to do to get a better quality of sleep and quantity of sleep, including adjusting the temperature of your bed automatically. Really cool stuff. It's not cheap, but it works. I know many, many people who use the 8 Sleep system, and there are others, but that's the most popular. I've heard that it takes a little bit of work to install it in your bed, but once it's there, and you're able to actually measure how well you sleep. It's, amazing. Okay, another technology, the Oura Ring, O-U-R-A. It's a ring. You just put it on your finger. It measures your sleep. It measures your resting heart rate. Yeah, another very, very good piece of information. Among other things, how many steps you take. Or the Fitbit, right? You could just get a Fitbit watch, a health watch, or even the iWatch, of course, the Apple iWatch, which if you didn't know, the folks at Apple seem to think that using the iWatch for health is going to be the biggest profit-making part of their business in the future. So they're adding more and more to that. Okay, finally, emotional health. Well, what good is eating right and getting enough sleep and exercising if you just still don't feel well emotionally, you're depressed. And so or you're stressed out. So you have to have some kind of stress management built into your life. You've got to be emotionally resilient, and lots of research around the importance of social connections. You may know the comedian Sebastian Maniscalco. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. He's got a skit. And in the skit, he talks about when he was growing up, and you could probably relate to this. If someone rang the doorbell, you were happy, you were excited. You may have had the spare living room where everything is covered in plastic, but it's only there for guests. We had that growing up. We couldn't go in there, but man, if someone came to the door, we had a visitor, we got excited and we would take the plastic off. The furniture in that living room, we had the special coffee cake and the special coffee. And, it was just like, we were happy when people came to the door, people came to visit us. Now what happens? Someone rings the doorbell, we hide, right? We're like, who can that be? We're worried maybe it's a burglar. So it's just a different world. And so-called social media is adding to the problem. It's not helping. So you might want to disconnect from social media a bit more these days. I'm guilty of surfing Facebook. I pride myself in not spending a whole lot of time in front of the television, but I replaced that with surfing Facebook. So, that's something I've really got to watch. And in place of that, actually really just go out and have coffee with friends, socialize, be part of a group, stack your social well-being with nutrition and or fitness by hiking with friends, joining fitness classes, volunteering with other people, foster meaningful relationships, group exercise. Now, also, of course, meditation. Really, really tons of research on the benefits of meditation. There's a great app out there called Headspace, all one word. Check it out. It's a meditation app. It makes it really easy. The studies have shown that just a little bit of meditation every day and gradually work yourself up can work wonders for your mental health. Also, journaling and expressing gratitude. Expressing gratitude has been shown to increase people's happiness massively over the course of time. And all you really need to do is just when you wake up in the morning, maybe journal 3 things that you're grateful for. And at the end of the day, journal about maybe 2 or 3 things that happened during that day that you are grateful for. And that's it. It doesn't take much time. Now, there's a great tool called the 5-Minute Journal. It's an app, but it's also, you can order the actual journal, the hard copy of the journal. And it's great. It's got some great prompts to help you with this expressing gratitude and journaling. Again, just shown to have massive improvements, people who journal and express gratitude. So there you have it. We have nutrition, sleep, exercise, and emotional well-being. Those 4 pillars, if you can just do a little bit of something every day to increase your well-being, to eat better, to exercise, walk a bit more, whatever it may be, spend time with family, connecting in person, and it's going to potentially, most likely, increase your health span, where you're going to have more healthy years and you're going to enjoy yourself more. And then we, your financial planners, your retirement planners, can help you make sure that the money is used, your money, your wealth is used for what matters most to you, and you get more healthy years to enjoy yourself. I'm Bill Del Seti. Thank you for joining me. Any questions on this podcast? You can always send me an email at bill@happinessinretirement.com. Subscribe to this podcast on Apple or Spotify or on YouTube. You can visit our website, www.delseti.com, with a hyphen between the L and the S. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Talk to you soon.